Hi guys, I'm Kasha, welcome to the channel and welcome as always to our coffee times to talk movies. And today I don't have particularly a horror movie per se, but I'm here to talk to you about the new Guillermo del Toro movie, Nightmare Alley.
It's coffee time!
So if you guys have been following me for a little bit, you guys know that I am slightly obsessed with Guillermo del Toro. You probably also know that I have so many editions of Hellboy. It's at this point a little bit of a sickness. But you know, my relationship with Guillermo started a long time ago, since I watched Pan's Labyrinth and absolutely fell in love with his work, and I've been obsessed with him ever since. So of course when Nightmare Alley was announced a long time ago and then it was paused and then they were allowed to film again, I was just really expecting this new movie because it was kind of a concept that he also had not done before. This sounded more like your typical noir film, which is something Guillermo had not done, so I was really excited to see what he did with the story. Lucky for me, here in the Netherlands, the theaters reopened their doors at the same time that Nightmare Alley was basically going to be released, so I was able to go to the cinema here and watch it, and I just had such a good time. This is an American neo-noir psychological thriller directed by Guillermo del Toro, and it is based on a book by the same name. Now, I have not read the book. It came out in 1946 and it got already a film adaptation in 1947, which I also was unfamiliar with. So I kind of went into this film not knowing exactly what to expect, and I feel like it is one of the best ways to go into this movie. The film stars Bradley Cooper as a charming and ambitious carnival worker with a mysterious past who takes big risks to boost his career. Cate Blanchett, Toni Collette, Willem Dafoe, Richard Jenkins, Rooney Mara, Ron Perlman, Mary Steenburgen, and David Strathairn also star in the film. So with this amazing cast and the poster and knowing this was a neo-noir thriller, I was really excited. Now, I am not somebody that loves to watch noir films. It's not a genre or a subgenre that I have really watched a lot. But if we combine the fact that this is a neo-noir film based in the late 30s, beginning of the 40s, and you smash in there a carnival with freaks and stuff like that, I knew that mix was going to be exactly for me. Also knowing how, you know, Guillermo del Toro just designs his worlds, his movies, I just knew that I was in for a ride. So what Guillermo managed to do here is to fuse different things together. We have here kind of your typical fantastical story with the traveling circus, but then you have a second part of this film that it is way darker and also takes us to some really violent and bloody moments. Our main character is in the need of a job, and he stumbles upon a carnival run by Clem Hotley, played by Willem Dafoe, and he's instantly horrified by this spectacle of a geek. Apart from that, he also meets the charismatic, clairvoyant Xena, played by Toni Collette, which I kind of wish she would have had a lot more importance in this film, because I just absolutely love her. And he starts to learn how to trick people, and he kind of becomes a con man in the film, and he learns how to read people, how to tell them what they want to hear, and how to sell that kind of as his own act. I really love the part of the carnival because I love to see the design of the different acts in the carnival. Also a traveling carnival from 1939. It was extremely interesting to me to see everything that Guillermo did with that. But where the movie really shines is in part 2, where we are in New York a couple of years later, when Stanton is kind of following his dreams, becoming this showman, and you know, basically his greed takes him through darker and darker paths. Absolutely loved it. It felt a little bit like your typical gangster movie, but it has Guillermo written all over it. Stanton as our main character is extremely powerful. It has been one of my favorite Bradley Cooper performances that I have seen from him, and he's a man that is not particularly running away from the law or the police. He's running away from himself and from his past and things that he has seen, has done in the past. And that is when he comes across this traveling carnival, and where he starts to kind of reshape his life and trying to look for a way of making a lot of money and making a better life from himself. And Stanton as a character can be a little bit or slightly predictable. At least I see a lot of things that Guillermo was putting there that were going to pinpoint things that were to come in the second act and third act. But even if you have never heard of the book or saw the first movie adaptation, I think it's easy to see that Stanton is a character that is going to basically cause his own decline in the third act. You're going to see a lot of symbolism when it comes to Stanton's character. There's a lot of things that follow him throughout the whole movie, and there's a lot of things that are pinpointing to a circular things. It's just amazing when you start to notice all of those little details. If you at least rewatch this film, you will be able to see that a lot better. But also Guillermo has a lot of your typical tropes and things that we can expect from your typical noir film, but he just merges them with, you know, his own imagination, which is just one of my favorite things about Guillermo, is that what he can take something and he turns it into his own, and he provides you with a world that you've never, you know, encountered before, because it's his own imagination. And I just love that he can bring you to completely different worlds. Even though Nightmare Alley, it is a thriller noir movie, it doesn't really follow the patterns of most of those films. You don't get like all of these voiceover narrations and all of your typical shots that you would expect from this type of film. And Guillermo, you know, he just brings his own way of telling the story, and decides to go linear with the whole story, and it takes its sweet time, which is one of the things that is going to put off a lot of people, because the movie is a really slow burner, and it might be a little bit too long for some people because it runs, I believe, for 150 minutes. Another one of my favorite characters were obviously Willem Dafoe. I think, you know, he was born to play this type of characters, and I just absolutely love him. When he gets to be bonkers, loved him. And also another one of my favorite characters was played by Cate Blanchett. She plays this psychologist in New York, and she knows all the renowned people, all the wealthy people. And the way that she portrayed this femme fatale that we know from this type of films, it was just stunning. I absolutely loved her in this film. I thought she was absolutely stunning in this film. Absolutely loved her. So the characters, I mean, all the actors in this film, even the ones with smaller roles, just had such strong performances that, you know, just for the acting alone and the cinematography, it's already worth it to check this film. When it comes to Guillermo, you know that he is going to put so much attention to detail, from the colors to everything that is on screen, from every shot. You know that he is doing everything with a purpose. Everything is perfect. The production is just impeccable. The way that they keep bringing circular things, the way that they chose the colors, you know, all of those greens and all of those warm tones, you know, all the oranges and yellows, it's just fantastic. The movie keeps this atmosphere throughout the whole thing, but we do get a change on the second and third act. When he's in New York, we have long corridors and we have alleys and we have these buildings. It's just fantastic when it comes to that, as well as the cinematography is also impeccable. Cinematographer Dan Laustan, that also worked with him for Shape of Water and Crimson Peak, has chosen to give the actors this kind of timeless, glowing aura. The light work in this movie is just so beautiful. I just loved all the shots from the carnival to the ones that we get to see in the city, and there are a lot of frames that are being held for a little bit longer than we're used to, instead of just cutting. So the movie is not as tightly edited as maybe your typical audience would like it to be, but I just love that Guillermo is not afraid to just do what he wants with his art without thinking about, you know, if the public is gonna really love it or not. He's just doing art and putting it out there for us to enjoy, at least people like me that actually loves his movie so much. Since this is a Guillermo del Toro movie, you kind of expect to see some kind of supernatural thing going on or some type of monster, which is not the case in this movie. However, there is a character, a creature, I guess, a creature that you get to see in the traveling carnival called the Enoch. And that one, that is 100% Guillermo, it's written all over it. And it's something that if you pay attention, it's always gonna be there in Stanton's life. But the focus of the monsters in this movie is human monsters. Since this is not a horror movie, there was not really much horror in the film, but it has a really dark topic and theme going on throughout the whole film, which is, you know, how we are taking advantage of people that are in worse positions that we are, and how society keeps feeding on them without, you know, even double thinking about it. And, you know, it's just the darkest, deepest, like more rotted humankind out there. Also, there is violence towards the end of the film, and it was so intense and so unexpected, and I was just there for it. This is an R-rated drama noir, and these things, you know, are not made so much nowadays anymore, and I just loved how unexpected this movie was and the journey that it took me in. Obviously, I gave this film a high rating. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5. It is not my favorite Guillermo del Toro film, but it is extremely good, and I do recommend everybody to check it out. It's just hypnotic the way that Guillermo picks you up from the very beginning, from the very first scene, and just takes you in this unexpected journey. And it is a very slow burner, but for me, I went to the movies alone to watch this one, and I was not bored, not even for a minute, and time flew for me. So I feel like it depends if you like this type of films or not, but again, it is not your conventional film noir. This is a movie that after you finish watching it, it's gonna follow you like a shadow, and the world building of Guillermo, it's just exquisite. The performance of Bradley Cooper, his character, the way the movie ends, it's just stunning. I absolutely loved it, and just for that I think that you should actually support the film if you can. Rent it in VOD or go watch it in the cinema if you have the opportunity like I had, because, you know, I would like to support my boy Guillermo. Alright guys, so this was my spoiler-free review of Nightmare Alley. I hope that you enjoyed it. Let me know down below if you have already watched the film or if you're planning on going and watching it. And also let me know, what is your favorite Guillermo del Toro film? Let's talk about it in the comments down below. Thanks so much for watching, you guys. I hope that you enjoyed it. Please give the video a big thumbs up, and I hope to see you all in our next coffee time. Bye!